woman wielding the scythe of the underworld smashed it into the ground. A fissure appeared, and the cage of the underworld was broken open. A pair of hands reached out from inside. Something had escaped from the underworld. In the previous episode, the three sisters had planned to kill the shadow demon, but they unintentionally caused the Underworld Scythe to recombine. However, Jada suddenly appeared and seized the scythe, successfully outwitting everyone. Mel knew Jada. They had even had drinks together at a bar before. The group immediately started to chase Jada, but Jada was evidently a seasoned pro, adept with knives and lightning, and could teleport at will. The three sisters were no match for Jada. Jada used her scythe to open the underworld when no one was around. Seeing the ruined magnet, they realized that the Underworld Scythe had been used, meaning someone had activated it. The situation was urgent, so the high-ranking witch Charity was summoned again. Meanwhile, the Demon King Alistair was very displeased about not obtaining the scythe. It turned out that the Shadow Demon was the Demon King's son, and he was also Maggie's new boyfriend, Parker. Alistair scolded Parker for his incompetence, then turned his gaze to the sealed harbinger of Hell paint can, considering other methods to open it. At the same time, outside a bar, a man had just bid farewell to his friends. As he got into his car, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared in his rearview mirror. The man's fate was predictable. The next day, the group rushed to investigate upon hearing the news. Mel immediately froze time in the area. This was the place where they had lost track of Jada, and the missing man might be related to whatever had escaped from the underworld that night. Charity also found some fragments in the back seat, faintly glowing with magical energy. After taking some samples, they planned to leave, but Jada was watching everything from a distance. Soon, Jada actively approached Mel. Jada said she came from the Wandering Witches, trying to persuade her to join them. It was an unofficial organization not governed by the elders. Mel clearly didn't believe Jada was also a witch.
I'm half witch, half white lighter.
That's why Jada can teleport. White lighters, like Harry, are witch guides equipped with the standard teleportation ability. Jada said she is the offspring of a witch and a white lighter, considered forbidden and called a malefic by the elders. Mel was shocked. So you killed my mom because she was an elder? But Jada denied it, saying Marisol was their ally. Jada believed that Mel, with her special powers as a charmed one, shouldn't be constrained by the elders' rules. The Wandering Witches help everyone and are much freer. Mel was still skeptical. Jada mentioned that the Book of Shadows has a revealing spell, around page 672, a spell she helped Marisol write. Then Jada took out the scythe fragment, claiming she had just borrowed it and was now returning it. Mel pressed Jada on what she had released.
One of the greatest witches in recent history.
From your elder's prison in the underworld, Jada said before teleporting away. The Spider Queen descended from above, and the Charmed Ones immediately cast a smoke screen spell together. Seeing she was outnumbered, the Spider Demon injected magma into the captured host, planning to burn everyone with the scorching power. Macy quickly used telekinesis to lift the electrical box from behind and smashed the Spider Demon to the ground. The group immediately rescued the captured mortals. It turned out that Charity had found insect shells at the demon's crime scene, deducing it was an insect demon. That night, the demon struck again. Meanwhile, Macy was on a blind date, arranged by Maggie through a dating app. The family members at home were analyzing the demon, an insect that transformed into a demon, and then no bodies could be found. Maybe the bodies were hidden by the demon to incubate parasitic eggs for the next generation. Suddenly, Maggie realized something alarming. All the missing people were matches from the dating app. Macy was in danger. At that moment, Macy and the man were about to get more intimate. When Macy woke up again, she was already bound by spider silk. Fortunately, Maggie and the others found her immediately through the Charmed One connection. Seeing the parasitized hosts, everyone felt chills down their spines. The demon attacked, and Maggie kicked it away. Then Mel struck the demon with a stick, killing it. The group successfully rescued Macy. At this moment, they heard a noise above them, and a giant spider dropped down. Then the opening scene happened. The next day, while Mel was taking out the trash, a thug was robbing someone. If she used molecular immobilization, she would expose herself as a witch. Luckily, Jada appeared just in time, taking down the robber and erasing the woman's memory. Joining the Wandering Witches would mean she could ignore the elders' rules. Jada invites Mel to join the organization again and shows Mel the spell that can find her. Mel returned home and took out her pocket watch to summon Charity. She wanted to discuss the rule against using magic in front of mortals. Charity appeared on her own and took Mel to a void space. This place turned out to be the gathering spot for the elders. To protect themselves, Each elder's face was pixelated. The Council of Elders believe that the newly formed Wandering Coven is probably responsible for the murder of Marisol and the other High Witches, especially since they had just released something from the underworld. The Elders decided to have Mel go undercover to investigate their conspiracy. Following Jada's symbol, Mel arrived at the Wandering Witch's hideout. Reciting a spell that caused a large door to appear out of thin air, a group of people approached Mel and began the initiation ceremony. A mysterious tattoo appeared on Mel's arm, and crows started circling above her head. The scene was exactly like the one they saw the night their mother was killed. This makes Mel even more certain that the Wandering Coven is probably responsible for their mother's death. Meanwhile, the Demon Brothers infiltrated a church to retrieve the St. Dragos amulet from a skeleton's neck, but they were discovered by the priest, who released a wave of light, sending the brothers flying. He then struck his staff, trying to open the underworld's gate to imprison them. The ground collapsed quickly, a burst of light erupted, and the demons were almost sucked into the underworld. The older brother, a shapeshifter, regained his footing and lunged at the priest, pinning him to the ground, with no one controlling it. The gate to the underworld quickly closed. Parker hurriedly stopped his brother, urging him not to kill indiscriminately. Hunter pretended to agree but killed the priest after his brother left. It turned out that Shadow Demon Parker was a half-human, half-demon. His half-human blood gave him a conscience, but it also made his body extremely weak. They were collecting Witch's DNA to heal Parker, making him the perfect host for the source of all evil. Parker's mother, Julia, gave the amulet to Parker, instructing him to give it to Maggie. By absorbing a Charmed One's power, Parker's body condition could be improved. Maggie had no idea her new boyfriend was a demon and was delighted when Parker placed the necklace around her neck. But Macy noticed Parker became extremely weak when he touched Galvan. This was because the runes on Galvan only glowed when in contact with demonic power. Macy immediately contacted the medium she had consulted before. The medium told her that the more evil power in a person's body, the stronger the rune's reaction, even attacking the person. Just as Macy was about to warn everyone, she was suddenly knocked out from behind. It was Hunter who struck. Hunter transformed into Macy's form to temporarily calm everyone, as the amulet needed time to absorb the magic. At this moment, Maggie's necklace started to turn black. Soon, her magic would be completely absorbed, but fortunately, Parker's love for Maggie was true, and he secretly removed the necklace at the last moment. The necklace instantly turned white, and all the absorbed magic was returned to Maggie. Outside, Mel witnessed everything and began to suspect Parker. She immediately consulted the Book of Shadows and finally found a record about the St. Dragos amulet. It was used by fallen angels to steal the energy of other angels. They were about to find Parker when they ran into the shapeshifter disguised as Macy. At this moment, the real Macy also woke up from unconsciousness. She used her mind to untie the ropes around her mouth and immediately summoned Harry. The shapeshifter struck Harry, sending him flying. Then it transformed into a black mist and pursued him, leaving Harry unable to fight back. Macy summons again, and Harry takes the opportunity to instantly get away straight away. The shapeshifter started disguising itself repeatedly, first as Harry and then as Maggie, but because his identity was frequently exposed, the shapeshifter decided to eliminate Maggie first. Parker immediately transformed into the Shadow Demon to block his brother, but he was too weak. Mel's powers couldn't fully immobilize the shapeshifter. Suddenly, the tattoo of the Wandering Witch Coven on her hand summoned a flock of crows, instantly driving the shapeshifter back. Parker turns into a Shadow Demon and leads Maggie away, trying to explain and destroying the St. Dragos amulet in front of him. Maggie, being a holy maiden, felt deeply betrayed by Parker, her boyfriend, who turned out to be a demon. Unable to forgive him at the moment, Maggie turned and left. Jada then found Mel, revealing that she had sensed the danger and sent the crows to help them. They had once tried to save Marisol with the crows but had failed. At that time, there was someone with incredibly powerful energy, and even the crow's protection was repelled. This meant that the real culprit behind Marisol's murder might be someone else. Hunter returned, demanding that everyone pay the price. Parker also appeared with the priest's staff, ready to open the gate to the underworld, but his body was too weak. Seeing this, the three sisters quickly took the staff and chanted a spell together, opening the gate to the underworld. Harry tried to stop them, but it was too late. Hunter grabbed his leg and dragged him into the underworld. A terrifying eye emerges. The guardian of the underworld cage has arrived. A single sting from this death scorpion will plunge its victim into their deepest fears. Harry has been held here since he was dragged into the underworld by Shapeshifter, the Underworld Scythe, which had the power to open the underworld. was now destroyed. Mel closes the Book of Shadows. Having found no useful spells within its pages, the Council of Elders remains indifferent, unwilling to stir for the sake of a witch consultant. A desperate Mel had no choice but to seek help from the wandering witches. There, she finally met the person who had been rescued from the underworld by the wandering witches. She is a guardian of the sacred flame. She has been trapped in the underworld's illusions for so long that only a sufficient amount of hellfire can restore her sanity. That's still because the woman is the strongest witch in recent times, but with Harry's strength he might not last more than a few days. However, Jada gives Mel a clue. In the mortal realm, there is a demon named Dante who guards the entrance between the underworld and the mortal world. If they show enough sincerity, perhaps they can strike a deal with Dante to free Harry from the underworld. By sincerity, they mean a powerful demon. Mel immediately thinks of the Harbinger of Hell, whom they have sealed away. Using the Harbinger of Hell to trade with Dante seems most fitting, but Charity opposes the idea, arguing that it's not worth unleashing the Harbinger of Hell just for a witch mentor. Mel insists, saying that if sacrificing a demon can bring Harry back, she won't hesitate. It's the only way. Charity leaves coldly. In the end, the portal reopens, and the oil drum sealing the Harbinger of Hell is transported back. It's clear that even as an elder, Charity, knowing it was wrong, decided to act impulsively. The three sisters find Dante, intending to trade the Harbinger of Hell to free Harry, as long as the offer is sufficient. Dante is more than willing. He switches on the TV and there's a picture of Harry trapped in the underworld, and it's clear he's not going to last much longer. Dante takes the paint bucket, sniffing it but detecting no demonic aura. Next, he easily opens the seal with the ring on his hand, only to discover the bucket is empty. Dante felt that the three sisters had tricked him and decided to teach them a lesson. Mel instantly freezes time. They want Maggie to work through empathy's powers to see if Dante has a way to save Harry. However, since her breakup with Parker, Maggie has found a spell in the Book of Shadows to relieve her pain. This spell has temporarily robbed Maggie of her empathy powers. Dante seized the moment and threw open a cabinet, grabbing Maggie by the neck. His other hand quickly transformed into a key, unlocking the entrance to the underworld. With a swift motion, Dante hurled Maggie into the underworld. Unless they bring the real Harbinger of Hell, Maggie will be trapped in the underworld forever, enduring the torment of fearsome illusions. Charity is shocked to learn the paint bucket was empty and immediately recalls the man she encountered in the elevator, hypnotizing a powerful high-ranking which indicates this man is extraordinary, possibly a mighty demon lord. Fortunately, Maggie's half-human, half-demon boyfriend has not lost his conscience. Parker knows his father hid the paint bucket in the study. With Parker's help, they turn into black mist, sneak into the study, and successfully retrieve the sealed Harbinger of Hell paint bucket. Mel also quietly takes a large bottle of hellfire while no one is watching. Dante was very pleased with this offering and reopened the gate to the underworld. Harry and Maggie emerge, supporting each other. Suddenly, Alistair appears, aiming to reclaim the Harbinger of Hell. Macy wastes no time, hurling a dagger straight into Alistair's forehead. This enrages Alistair, who tears off the skin on his face, revealing his true form, and launches a fierce attack on everyone. The Charmed Ones unite again, invoking the power of three. They conjure a massive energy ball and fiercely clash with Alistair. They truly are the strongest trio in history. Even the Demon Lord couldn't withstand their combined power. Seeing defeat imminent, Alistair flees instantly. The three sisters finally breathe a sigh of relief. Mel throws the paint bucket sealing the Harbinger of Hell into the underworld cage. Dante closes the gate to the underworld. Harry and Maggie finally make it back safe and sound. They are now home, with Maggie recounting her terrifying experiences in the underworld. As they speak, a portal opens, and Charity appears. Macy says, "If you're here to question us about our dealings with demons, then you can go home. But if you're here to check on Harry, then take his favorite tea to him." Charity approaches with the tea. Harry looks despondent. As a white lighter, his mortal memories were stripped away by the elders. He has always been a man without a past, but in the underworld, the illusions drawn from his most painful memories have made him remember everything. He finally knows who he is. It turns out he was a criminal who caused the death of his only son. Charity shakes her head, determined to understand what Harry saw in the underworld. So Charity reviews Harry's memories. Harry is shocked. "You're violating elder regulations. You could be stripped of your status." Charity doesn't care. "You were a criminal, but everything you did was to save your dying son. Because you were such an excellent father, those qualities make you an amazing white lighter." Harry is astonished. "Why are you telling me this?" "For the sake of the ones I love." Meanwhile, Mel hands the large bottle of hellfire she took from Alistair to Jada. Without Jada's idea, Harry and Maggie wouldn't have escaped the underworld. Mel is convinced they didn't kill her mother. She is determined to revive the guardian of the sacred flame. The man played this 3,000-year-old flute, and a green light came out of it. The green light circled around and then instantly drilled into the man's brain. Another demon broke free from its seal. Mel was bringing breakfast to Harry. Harry had been stung by the death scorpion too many times, and his wounds hadn't healed, so he was still recuperating here. They exchanged their usual greetings when Macy suddenly burst in, holding a genetic comparison report. It turned out she had stolen it from the lab. Julia, Parker's mother, had stolen their witch DNA to heal Parker, and Macy worked at Julia's company. According to the report, Macy and Maggie are sisters. Maggie and Mel are half-sisters. The news came as a shock to them. Unable to accept it, they left in silent anger, feeling heavy-hearted. Maggie went to her audition. The judges noticed her unusual demeanor when applause suddenly rang out. Maggie was accepted by the choir conductor. Mr. Miranda, isn't he the one possessed by the bone flute demon at the beginning? Meanwhile, at home, Macy was venting to Galvin about the day's events. Unhappy, Macy decided to cast a revealing spell, since Galvin saw them open the underworld and send the shapeshifter in. Macy had been honest with him. As she recited the spell, objects in the room started flying around, and a box landed in Macy's hands. It was filled with letters from Macy's father to her mother. It turns out that they were in contact after they separated until their deaths. What secret does Macy carry? What could have prevented their family, with a high-ranking witch mother, from reuniting? Meanwhile, Mr. Miranda was rehearsing with the newcomers. Effie suddenly gave an impromptu performance, trying to show off, but Mr. Miranda immediately stopped her. "You are desecrating great art." Effie was clearly upset and later confronted Mr. Miranda to argue her case. Predictably, the unexpected happened. The demon wasted no time and picked up the ancient flute, blowing into it, causing Effie to scream. In no time, Effie's soul was sucked into the flute, and the demon dragged her away. Soon, Mr. Miranda returned to rehearsal. Maggie asked about Effie. She quit. Maggie was skeptical, as that solo spot was highly coveted. At that moment, another woman seized the opportunity to showcase her talent. "Very well, you will take her place." The woman excitedly approached Mr. Miranda for a hug, but he violently pushed her away. "Don't touch my flute." Seeing Mr. Miranda's strange behavior, Maggie reached out and touched the ancient flute. She quickly took a screenshot and sent it to Macy. Macy immediately consulted the Book of Shadows. Macy said the flute belonged to the ancient Greek sirens, women who lured sailors to their deaths with their songs. Maggie indeed heard Effie's voice coming from the flute. Wait, he plans to use the concert to kill all the audience members. With the situation urgent, Harry tried to teleport them all there, but failed. He's been trapped in the underworld for so long, his powers haven't returned. Macy quickly found a counterspell for Maggie. Maggie pointed out that the demon was an ancient Greek siren. Mr. Miranda scoffed. "Sirens. Sirens are just the sea creatures I commanded. Without me, who would know of the sirens? It was I who gave them their beautiful voices." By then, the singing had started, and the audience was gradually falling under its spell. At the critical moment, Macy arrived and used telekinesis to slam the demon against the wall. Maggie quickly explained, "He's not a siren, he's turned the choir into sirens." As they spoke, the singing took effect. All the humans in the audience writhed in pain and then fell unconscious. They quickly rushed to save Galvin, but the demon seized the opportunity to escape. Maggie brought the tea that the demon had been giving them. It was this tea that protected the mortal singers. After a sip, Galvin instantly recovered. Macy immediately thought of a way to break the spell. They just needed to disrupt the song's frequency through a choir performance. This would render the spell ineffective. Maggie quickly took the stage and led a chorus, and soon the audience began to recover. At home, Harry also found a way to deal with the demon. The ancient flute was a soul-capturing artifact. The sirens had used it to seal the demon and free themselves from its control. They needed to use a spell to expel the demon from its host and then reseal it. Mel, having received the news, hurried to join them. They quickly gathered to search for the demon. Suddenly, the demon lunged out, grabbing Macy by the throat. Mel immediately froze time, allowing Macy to escape. The three sisters chanted the spell together, and the demon was forced out of the human host. Macy quickly threw the ancient flute to Galvin. Galvin immediately blew into the flute. As a soul was released, the demon was drawn back into the flute. It was Effie. Galvin was also elated. A woman dripped a bottle of mysterious liquid onto a baby, and the dead infant suddenly came back to life. This baby was actually Macy in her infancy. Macy had discovered an earth-shattering secret from her parents' letters. It turned out that she had died at birth. Marisol, defying the rules of the elders, used her powerful magic to summon a necromancer from the underworld. She's Nancy. Marisol begged Nancy to save her newborn daughter. As a high-ranking witch, Marisol naturally knew the rules of resurrection. She was willing to sacrifice everything to bring her daughter back. Dexter, standing nearby, hesitated. The price was one thing, but the key issue was that resurrection by a necromancer came with side effects. Nancy began the ritual. She took out a knife and cut the baby's skin, then started chanting the resurrection spell, accompanied by an incantation. A vial of demon blood was injected into Macy's body, and the once dead infant was instantly revived. Marisol excitedly ran to embrace her lost and found daughter. Nancy said that from now on, Marisol could only live with Macy for 2 years. After 2 years, they must separate and never see each other again. Otherwise, Macy would die under Marisol's gaze. This was the price of resurrection. It was also why Marisol had abandoned Macy when she was a child. Unable to accept the truth, Macy decided to summon Nancy for answers. With the chant, Macy sacrificed a rat with a knife. The blood droplets rose and instantly formed a waterfall. Nancy emerged from the waterfall. However, Nancy appeared very irritable because Macy had broken her concealment spell, which meant her enemies could quickly find her. They immediately began preparing to recast the concealment spell. Macy was puzzled, and Nancy explained that a witch had asked her to revive her beloved demon, but she refused. As a result, the witch twisted the truth and reported Nancy to the elders, leading to Nancy's imprisonment in the underworld cage. As they were talking, an energy ball pierced through the wall behind them, and a woman walked in. Sid said that it was Nancy who turned her beloved into a demon, and she had to kill Nancy. Nancy immediately defended herself. Sid was not interested in arguing and began attacking with concentrated energy. Macy wanted to stop her, but she was clearly no match for Sid. Sid quickly chased after Nancy. Seeing that this crazy woman was about to harm Maggie, Macy used her telekinesis to throw Sid out the window, rendering her unconscious. They immediately lock Sid up with a thicker homemade chain, but it only holds her for a moment. Maggie clearly did not completely trust Nancy's words either. It's not unreasonable for both the elders and Harry to think that necromancers are dangerous. Nancy suggested that Macy kill Sid, but Macy clearly refused, wanting to help calm Sid down and talk things over. When they returned with the Book of Shadows, the chains were already broken, and the dangerous woman had escaped. They quickly grabbed sticks and searched the house. A phone call comes in. Maggie, who's been playing in the pub, has been taken hostage by Sid. Sid demanded that Macy bring Nancy over immediately, or Maggie would be in danger. They hurriedly arrived and Parker was there. He was the bartender here. Maggie was trapped in the bathroom, and the water level was rising. Macy used telekinesis to hurl objects at the glass, but it wouldn't shatter. Sid told Macy not to interfere with her killing. Macy, however, used her telekinesis to slow Sid's heartbeat. Sid, seeing that she was about to die, had no choice but to release Maggie. Nancy, standing by, urged Macy to kill Sid. The dark power within Macy began to stir, and she started to lose control. Parker immediately stopped her. Knowing all too well the feeling of succumbing to darkness, Macy came to her senses and released Sid. Sid was puzzled as to why they, as holy women, would protect this necromancer. Nancy had made a deal with the Demon King to maintain her youth. Nancy used demon blood to resurrect people, and everyone she brought back had dark power within them, eventually turning into demons. Maggie was shocked and immediately questioned Nancy. Nancy quickly tried to escape, but Parker tackled her to the ground. Nancy grabbed a hammer and swung at Parker, but it missed completely. Sid laughed, explaining that the necromancer's contract stated that they could not attack demons, or they would perish instantly. Sure enough, Nancy, in terror, slowly turned to ash. A man ran frantically, and with a flash of eerie green light, he was instantly turned into a statue. Macy awoke abruptly, since being resurrected with demon blood by a necromancer as a child. Macy had harbored a dark power within her. With the seal now broken, Macy's magic grew stronger daily, and the darkness within her was awakening, even affecting her dreams. The next day, while jogging, Macy saw the statue. This wasn't a dream. Had she turned someone to stone in her sleep? So Charity took Macy to the Council of Elders. Macy confessed to the elders about the demon blood running through her veins. Seeing Macy's honesty, one of the elders immediately stood up. Priyanka said she was investigating Marisol's death and had knowledge about demon witch hybrids. She could help Macy. As they spoke, Macy received a text message, and Charity was summoned by Harry. They open a portal and rush off, but they end up in a temple. Harry and Maggie were also there. Maggie shyly explained, it turned out that while she was having a deep conversation with Parker, his magic went out of control. They turned into black mist and fell straight into the temple. This place was directly beneath their home. Harry said the temple's sudden appearance was due to a magical vortex. They excitedly examined the ancient runes around them, realizing the temple held immense power. Witches could amplify their magic here, their powers doubling. As they touched the runes, they lit up. In the midst of their excitement, Charity noticed someone was missing. Seeing the sisters hesitant to speak, Charity was sure Mel was with the rogue witch Jada. Mel was supposed to be undercover, but it seemed she was being swayed. On the other hand, Mel and Jada have come to Ghost Island to look for a legendary holy relic. Under Mel's persistent questioning, Jada finally revealed the identity of the guardian of the sacred flame. Mel was stunned. Harry says she's dead because of you. Jada said it was Fiona they released from the underworld. The elders had secretly imprisoned Fiona in the underworld. Even Harry and Charity were unaware. Fiona was born the guardian of the sacred flame, a true source of magical power. When Fiona approached the rogue witches, the elders decided to eliminate her. But guardians are immortal, so they planned to imprison Fiona in the underworld forever. This revelation left Mel utterly shocked. A new danger crept closer behind them. Jada tried to stop it, but a vine quickly wrapped around her. Mel attempted to freeze time, but it didn't work, and she was hoisted upside down. The vine tightened around Jada, threatening her life. Mel grabbed a fallen knife, cutting the vine around her ankle and then freeing Jada. The Sinona magic stone appeared. With it, they could heal Fiona, but only a holy woman could remove the stone. The strongest witch in recent times has finally awakened. Stay tuned for more thrilling episodes.